story of at least the first half, which extended to the game, was Denver shooting 15 for 17 from three. Was there anything that you guys were doing wrong schematically, or were you satisfied with the defense and they were just making tough shots?
Well, I think, you saw the game, Tony. There was a lot of tough shots, but there were, those tough shots either, maybe you can take them away altogether. Maybe you can make people more uncomfortable. I didn't think we had the edge that we had defensively. Who's to say? Hats off to Denver for making those plays, of course. But I thought in the second half we came out with more of an edge. I mean, we cross-matched, we played zone, we doubled, we played man. But ultimately, I think it doesn't, regardless of what you do, we have to play with more of an edge and more urgency. And like I said, maybe it's 13 of 17, maybe it's 10 of 17. But we had to have more, and we found that at halftime, and hung in there, and we're in a point where, we cut the lead to single digits, but you give yourself a really, really difficult hill to climb and a small margin for error, and you have to almost be perfect at that point.
Sarah Todd, Deseret News.
Quinn, it felt like they were rotating pretty quickly on you guys out on the 3-point line. Did it feel like they were putting maybe more pressure on you guys out there than you have seen recently?
I thought we had a lot of looks. They required you make quick decisions, as you said. They're up and aggressive at the point of the screen and pick and roll, and that means you have to get off the ball quickly and be spaced and make good pass. I thought the accuracy of our passes suffered. I thought they impacted us some with that, which gave them a little more time to close out. But it just requires us to be more precise, to use a ball fake, to pass the ball a split second sooner. But we had a lot of open looks, but, we needed to make more given the fact that we'd, gotten ourselves into, such a deficit.
Andy Larson, Salt Lake Tribune.
And I guess the same question that Tony asked you about the three-point shooting, but about Nikola Jokic's performance. How did you feel you guys defended him on his 47-point night? And, how much of that is tip your cap to a good player versus things you could have done better?
Well, I think, it's both, and sometimes when you say one, it diminishes the other. So, it's definitely tip your cap. But at the same time, you have to believe, everybody in our locker room has to believe that we can do better. And I think we are capable of doing better. It was, he had a lot of space to operate. I thought, collectively, obviously it falls to, in this case, to Rudy and Fave. That's a tall task for them. But I think if, you ask Rudy, I think Rudy would say that he could do better. And we all can, helping him. So he puts a lot of pressure on you. As I said, he came out shooting the ball so well from three. And we just needed to be a little more aggressive, getting back to him. We closed out too short against him. We didn't help quite soon enough. And when we did, he made them. So, as I said, a little bit of both situations, but he's a great player. He's a great player.
Ben Anderson, KSLSports.com.
Quinn, speaking of Jokic, he seemed to get in a rhythm pretty early in the game. How hard is it to break rhythm of great players? Because you guys benefit from it as well.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, that you can change a couple things to try to take someone out of a rhythm. I thought, we started with Bojan on him at the beginning of the game. I actually thought, Bojan did a pretty good job on him. He's going to be able to shoot over him. And, the first possession, we wanted to have a little more help. Rudy was a little late coming over. And then there were a couple other possessions where he made some tough plays, as you said. But I think the main thing is to try to, you just have to try to make it hard. And to the extent I thought it was too easy in the first half, as I said, I don't think anybody in our locker room would disagree with that, not just on him, but on their team. I am, take some consolation in the fact that we came out the second half with more of an edge. I think did a better job, but again, he's still going to get some. It's hard. You don't want to give him 47 points, but at the same time, if you're doubling him and doing things, he's such a willing and not just capable, but unique, elite passer that it just requires everybody to be unbelievably urgent and precise in what you're doing defensively to make it difficult for him.
Last question, Joe Varden, The Athletic.
Hey, Quinn, it's nice to see you. It's kind of a two-parter here. First, given how far into the year you guys are and how good you've been, does any part of the way last season ended still come up in your conversations or the guys' conversations? And then kind of along with that, this far into the year now, and the Jazz are right at the top of the West, the top of the NBA. How do you feel you guys have looked compared to some of those other great teams, and where you think you fit in that conversation?
Honestly, I don't think we're thinking about that. You always, learn from experience, but as far as looking at the standings or, comparing ourselves to other teams, those things happen at the end of the year. And, regardless of what your perception is of yourselves or someone else's perception of you, the key thing is to be at your best then. So I think that's been the focus that we've had up to this point. It'll be the same focus we have after tonight. I think regardless of the result, our challenge to ourselves has been to try to continue to get better. And, that's what you take from a night like tonight. It's hard in the regular season to evaluate yourself on any one game, but you can certainly on the result of any one game. But that doesn't mean, you don't evaluate how you played. And I think that's the primary thing that you want to take with it. And that's what allows you to helps you get better.
That's it. Thank you, Coach.
Okay.